Oh, it's on. It's working. Who's on then? Ooh, don't do that. What do I do on there? So whatever reason, my screen keeps shutting down. I've done like 3, 4 of these, and it won't let me see my other screen. Oh, there he is, Scott. Yes. Hold on. See if that works.
Okay. You want to try this again?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is there feedback?
No.
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 It's all good.
Are we there?
All right.
Hi.
It only took 2 acts of Congress.
What's that?
Only took 2 acts of Congress.
Oh my goodness, man. Well, like you said, at least it's me. I'm looking at my page. I see like 4 different fails.
That's okay.
All right,
Things happen.
Yeah, it happens. All right, so let's start all over, and we'll make this quick. All right, so this coming Monday, you're going to speak. North Houston Real Estate Investments. You're known in the Houston area as the go-to guy, in all of Texas as the go-to guy, cleaning up titles, liens, right?
Well, I guess, I'm going to help you out here a little bit, if you don't mind, Gabe. So I've been very fortunate over the last 30-something years in the real estate investment industry. I am a real estate attorney. I'm a title attorney. I'm a civil engineer undergrad,
Wow.
which helps to blend together. I've done some minor wholesaling of properties. I don't really like the wholesaling business because it's a one-and-done strategy. My real love is the rehab game. I love to buy properties, rehab them. I have sold houses retail. I prefer to hold my properties with creative finance, and I prefer that mechanism over the rental marketplace. I've done a little bit over 3,500 single-family homes, so we've done high volume.
Wow.
Back in 1997, we started our hard money lending company. Ran that through 2009 and became the largest hard money lender in Texas. Shut down back then for obvious reasons, and then we reopened today under our new company called Goat Funding. As a real estate attorney, of course, we have done creative finance for years. That's all we've really done in our business for 30 years, it seems like. It's just that it's changed direction today with the advent of the subject to and things of that nature. And I've built houses. We do lending on property taxes pretty much across the board. And because of all of that, it simply gives us the ability to talk about a multitude of items for all of your viewers out there right now, and to go through how to make money in this business. Because that's what we're all in this business for, how we make money, whether it's short-term money or long-term money, and how can we make more money. And as you said earlier, Gabe, understanding liens on property is one of the great ways to navigate transactions, negotiate deals that allows us as investors to make more money. And you don't have to be a lawyer to necessarily do that, but you need to be able to understand it in a way. And once you get that, it helps you to analyze your transaction, negotiate the deal better or differently. And that's what winds up helping us maximize our profits.
Okay. So you know quite a bit.
No, a little bit.
All right. So
Unfortunately, when we say the word GOAT, for our asset-based lending company, GOAT Funding, you can guess who the old GOAT is, okay? So,
nice.
as such, I've had to learn a lot through that.
That's nice. Well, guys, so again, you're on North Houston Real Estate Investor. Let me see if I turn this on. And so what we're going to do is this coming Monday night, we're going to have Scott come in. It starts at 7 o'clock. He's going to go over pretty much a lot of the stuff that he went over just now. And we need to have some awesome questions from you guys, because one of the things that I've noticed in my business and doing real estate is that there are some cushy properties out there if you know how to navigate through the title work. And so navigating through title is a big portion of buying houses that are at a good price. So, Scott, hey, if you want to just highlight a couple things or maybe some decent stories.
Let me just, in addition to liens on properties, one of the things that we just opened a new title office over in South Lake, and I am getting inundated with probate issues. And of course, and again, we run into a lot of houses. We get a chance to buy, opportunities to buy homes from various estate issues and whatnot. But so often the investors do not know how to properly, they don't have either ask the right questions of the seller or sellers, or they stop on the surface. They don't dig down far enough. And what they wind up doing is spinning their wheels too much, unfortunately. And again, a knowledge base of how to ask the right questions, when to ask them, how to deal with liens that either arise from the probate side or out there on a natural basis, how to have a quick look at them so we know whether they're something we need to deal with or not. All these make decisions in how we buy houses out there. And I'll give you a great example. And this one kind of covers the whole multitude of scenarios. But I want you to imagine a situation where you have a property, and the background of this one property is a gentleman had 2 roofs put on his houses, but he didn't pay the roofer a penny. And each of these roofs were probably $15,000, $18,000. And so he hired my litigation counsel to file a suit for collection, got a judgment for $40,000. Okay, pretty simple. Winning the lawsuit's easy, guys. The collection's the hard part, right?
Right.
And so the roofer thought he was going to, or the homeowner thought he was going to be cute, and he filed bankruptcy. Well, when you file bankruptcy, you have to file financial statements, right?
Right.
Or maybe you all know about bankruptcy or not, but you got to file financial statements. And so when they got the financial statements, my litigation counsel sent them over to me to look at, and we found that this fella owned the 2 homes. One was a homestead, and one wasn't. Okay. So then we start to investigate the non-homestead property. And we'll talk Monday more about liens on homesteads and what that means and what that looks like a little bit, and differentiation. Because in one instance, you have a homestead property, it's a consumer property. On the other hand, the rental property is a commercial property. And so when we researched it, what we found that there was a $28,000 property tax loan on the property first.
Wow.
And if you know that, property taxes take superior title over anything. But we found 0 mortgage loans. So as we went through, we found an old judgment lien. And because this was a non-homestead property, it did attach to the property. It was about 8 years old. But then we found a $100,000 IRS lien on the property. And it too was about 8 years old.
Wow.
Then in 4th lien position was this $40,000 judgment lien that had just been obtained. Now, most investors would look at that and they would just walk away automatically. Too much hair on the dog. Now, this is a home that if you add all that up, and I'll just add one more thing. The current year taxes were due, which was about $6,000 or $7,000, I believe, on top of the $28,000 tax lien.
Wow.
So the house had a value of about $300,000, but it was a home that literally needed everything to be worth that value. It was a large rehab of close to $100,000, I believe.
Wow.
So I will tell you and your audience that most people would look at that and would probably walk away.
Yeah.
So we didn't. We go out and we bought it because we understand liens. And we bought the judgment lien. We executed on it, which means we foreclosed it. And so we bought the $40,000 judgment lien for $20,000. Okay. So I'm $20,000 in the property.
Right.
But I also needed to pay about $6,000 of property taxes. And so when I did that, instead of just paying them like most people would do, I did a property tax loan from myself to myself. So again, a knowledge base of how the industry kind of works and what your opportunity is. But when I did the $6,000 tax loan, I paid off the $28,000 loan and incorporated that. So now I was holding a $34,000 first lien property tax loan from company A to company B.
Gotcha.
Okay. But I still had this judgment lien that was out there that was 8 years old, and we had this IRS lien. So what did I do? I dropped $100,000 and I rehabbed the property, knowing that the IRS could come in at any time and foreclose, or that this judgment lien could.
Wow.
Now the judgment lien was small; it was only about $4,000, maybe $6,000 of interest and whatnot. But when you learn that a judgment lien only has a life of 10 years, and rarely do people renew and extend them, when you learn that an IRS lien has a life of 10 years, and again, this is the federal government, they don't renew and extend either. You know, just think about who the government is. We played the game, we took the risk. So we wound up buying a $300,000 home for about $54,000 and dropped $100,000 into it.
Wow.
Now, everybody would want to learn how to do that, I think, if possible.
I would think so.
Think about that. Is there some risk? There's always risk. But that's part of our business, and it's about reasonable calculated risk. That's just one property that's an example of some things where a lien on the property or understanding liens can really help you navigate a situation and wind up capitalizing on an attractive profit out there of that nature.
I like it.
And I'll tell you, we've got many, many more suggestions that are just like that are out there every day that we come across. And the more that you get a chance to learn about our liens and how things can work and how to navigate it. And of course, I've been fortunate with as many deals as we've touched over the years, some 7,500 plus deals today. You just get an opportunity to see a lot of things. And when you see them, you have to start learning how to navigate them.
Right.
Now, just because you've got all these properties and there's a lot of hair on the dog out there, it doesn't mean that every deal is going to work. But if you don't know the basics and you don't know the opportunities, then you pass it by and you move on. And so what's fun to do is to teach the investment marketplace how to recognize these opportunities so they can learn how to capitalize on them. And then also just provide them a resource of someone they can come to if needed to help navigate those situations. And that's what we try to do.
I like it.
Well, it certainly is a fun game to play, and it's interesting to go through them all. And there are so many opportunities that are out there, and so many investors just walk away from things, just out of ignorance, unfortunately.
Right.
But there are lots of moving parts in our industry that we have to learn.
Right.
And you have to start somewhere.
Like I said, and I don't know if it's my speaker or not that's causing the feedback, but I've seen some of the funnest things that we have done. It's almost addicting to be able to look at a property and go, I wonder if I could clean that up. In the beginning, Scott, I came from a construction background, so it was always, looking at the structure of a house. I could clean up a house and make it look good. Now it's looking at the title and saying, you know what, I wonder if we can clean that title up. And it's not just the fact of, hey, there's more money. You're actually helping people move on. I mean, situations they would never think about moving on from.
No, you're exactly right. And, you know, we see constant issues, like if you're from the construction side of things, you know, of course, there are mechanic lien contracts that are out there. Then you run across UCC liens for maybe HVAC units or for solar panels today, or water softeners or things of that nature that show up, or maybe a pool somebody put in, or in addition to the home. Well, what are those and how do they work? And can you leave them there? Can they be removed, not removed? What's the situation? I think you've got to have that knowledge base as you're looking at this. You know, sometimes it is what it is, and you're stuck with that. That's just business, right?
Right.
But sometimes it's realizing that maybe those liens are dead. And what happens so often, especially in the title industry business, is that these escrow officers have no clue how to handle this kind of stuff. They're not lawyers, although some want to play lawyers, and they leave these liens in place when they should be removed automatically.
Yeah.
So if we as investors know what the law is, we know how these things work, we can better assist our title agents to get deals cleaned up. And again, if I know there's mechanics lien in the property, I don't have to tell my seller everything that I know. If a lien shows up, they need to deal with it themselves. But maybe it helps me negotiate that deal in some better fashion. So I think we see lots of opportunity out there to capitalize on more transactions, maximize our profits by understanding liens and how they work, how they affect the real estate and title on the transactions that we're going to be working on out there.
That's good. The first time I did that, there was 67,000, and we brought it down to 13. And
that was just a negotiation, wasn't it?
That was negotiated.
Yeah.
With the lien, with the credit company for the seller, because they wouldn't be able to sell it. So when we brought that down, it made it now something for us to purchase, and they were able to walk away, and they were so grateful, Scott, just so grateful.
Well, I will tell you that when you understand how to navigate our real estate transactions, and as investors, we rarely get a chance to deal in clean deals. I just think because of the type of properties we deal in, the opportunities we try to capitalize on, we're going to have some issues out there, whether they're mortgage liens, mechanics liens, child support liens, judgment liens, whatever kind of lien it might be that's there. Probate issues that need to be cleaned up in a way that work for everybody. And the more you understand that, the more opportunity we create. Whether there's a second lien and the first lien is being foreclosed on, learning how to negotiate that second lien down to a smaller amount, or maybe how to handle things in a little bit different scenario can work. We can talk about that more on Monday. But all of these things work out to a positive once we learn how to do this. And I can, again, sit here and give multitudes of examples. And I'll just give you one more where we had a seller who was in foreclosure. This was another home worth about $300,000, and he had a mortgage loan of about $170,000. He was a year behind in payments, and he was going to foreclosure. And the problem was very simple. He had about $120,000 IRS lien, and he couldn't sell the house. Wow. And trying to negotiate the IRS, sometimes you get lucky, but most of the time you don't. And it's kind of like a short sale. You hurry up just to wait.
Yeah.
And then maybe be told no down the road. And if you're in a pre-foreclosure mechanism, you don't have time to wait. You got to move fast. So in this scenario, we were able to come in, refinance the first lien mortgage for him using some techniques that we use in the mortgage industry, preserving the first lien position. And we bought the home subject to. we eventually wound up foreclosing on ourselves. Now, in that situation, keep in mind, the mortgage was already in foreclosure. So we didn't really go in there and do anything different to create a disadvantage to, in this case, the IRS. And the IRS still had the same opportunities of redemption after foreclosure they would have had in the first scenario. And so, again, we were able to come out, buy a $300,000 loan for basically $170,000. And the house did need some work done to it, but not a lot. But it was an awesome transaction out there. But understanding how to play that game gives us a lot of opportunity in how to do things.
Wow.
But also understanding how to play that game the right way. Because what we don't want to do is put a junior lien holder into a precarious position. But if they're already there and we're not doing anything different, then okay, it's the same thing, only different, as we kind of say. And so there's just some ways that we need to understand this and how to look at things. And that's where we start to create opportunity.
Wow.
You know, I had a deal just recently where, from a probate perspective, where this was a gentleman who was wholesaling the property. And this was a very unique scenario that came up that you don't see too often, where the husband actually bought the home back in 2001, and he was single. So, of course, in deed records, everything is in his name only. Gets married a few years later, say in 2003, but his wife passes away in 2013. Well, again, he still owns the house, and everything is in his name. Well, the only problem with that is since he was married and they lived in the house and they paid things together, most likely the house became community property instead of separate property. And title companies are going to want that to be cleaned up in some format. Well, unfortunately, he didn't tell anybody. So our title offices pull this up. Everything looks fine on the surface until we're checking off questions on the affidavits you have to go through. And you ask the question, was there ever a marriage involved? Of course, he says yes. And you find all this out. And then the problem becomes prior marriages. So he only owns half the house and 3 kids in Mexico and 1 child here and 1 minor all own the home. What do you do? And there are ways to navigate that appropriately. And that'd be a fun deal to talk about, I think, on Monday, and how to look at that deal and how to try to make it work. And it depends on what your short and or long-term plans are of that home and how you want to do it. So again, understanding how things work like that help us to look at our houses through different lenses and to analyze our deals differently than just black and white, which is what so many investors do. And to me, that's what's the fun part of the industry, is to be able to look at it through a much wider lens and capture more deals.
Man, I like it. I'm excited. Just that little bit you helped me, you did it within 10 minutes on the phone.
Well, good.
It was easy. And so I'm grateful for that. So,
Well,
all right, go ahead.
No, that's great we are able to do that. You know, sometimes we get lucky.
Sometimes.
Better be lucky than good, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, hey, I don't want to take up any more of your time, guys. This coming Monday, we're going to be doing Facebook Live. It won't be like this. You're going to have a presentation?
Sure. We can have something.
All right, cool.
We will
do
have
that. And then
the fun part,
you guys bring some questions. And so North Houston Real Estate Investors, we'll put it in the links so you guys can get a hold of it. Scott, thank you so much for your time, man. You have a good evening, and I'll catch you later.
We'll look forward to helping you guys and seeing you guys on Monday, Gabe.
All right, man. See ya.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.